Several of you know that we are studying, our fall book study is based on Brené Brown's book, Braving the Wilderness, The Quest for True Belonging and the Courage to Stand Alone. And our book study, many of you are involved in that book study, and I think it's a great opportunity to get to know each other. And the Sunday lessons are going to be focused on some of those, based on some of the ideas in her book over the next few weeks, except for next week when we'll have the wonderful Tama Keeves here, and I hope you'll be here to appreciate her and to be a part of that workshop as well. But today I want to focus on one of the ideas that she talks about in the book, in the second chapter, about paradoxes. And she talks about, really even the title of the book in some ways is a paradox. And she says, this talking about the quest, she says, the only thing we know for certain is that this quest we'll need to learn how to navigate the tension of many paradoxes along the way, including the importance of being with and being alone. In many ways, the etymology of the word paradox cuts right to the heart of what it means to break out of our ideological bunkers, stand on our own, and brave the wilderness. In its Greek origins, paradox is the joining of two words, para, contrary to, and doikon, opinion. The Latin paradoxum means seemingly absurd but really true. True belonging is not something you negotiate externally. It is what you carry in your heart. It's finding the sacredness in being a part of something and in braving the wilderness alone. When we reach this place, even momentarily, we belong everywhere and nowhere. This seems absurd, but it's true. So the idea that true belonging is not something that we negotiate on the external, it's something that we carry within us, an inner awareness, exactly what Sarah was sharing about, that inner knowing of spirit within us. So today I want to talk about living the paradox, and what I think is the ultimate paradox that we are all living moment by moment. And that paradox is that we are fully human and we are completely divine. We are fully and completely in these human forms, experiencing everything that we experience. And we are divine. We are an aspect of that divine presence, created as the image and likeness of God. And as we say in Unity every week, we just said it earlier, our God is love. And so we are created in the image and likeness of love and all the ways that love is experienced and expressed. That's who we are. That's our divine nature. And the paradox is that while we are that, we know that we are that, in our humanness, we long for the evidence of it. We want to experience it. We want to share it. We want to have it reflected back to us from other people in many different ways. We want to experience love as connection. We want to experience love as respect. We want to experience love in all its many different forms. We want to experience love as knowing that we matter and knowing that we belong. And so that's our humanness. And if we really, I think, experience that knowing in our heart that we are love, and we share that love and we experience it in its fullness, and that's just this blissful place that I'm sure many of us have touched. It's like she says, when you touch it, when you touch that place within where you know and you know that you know, even momentarily, you know that you belong everywhere and nowhere, which is really nowhere at all. And so we're all constantly living that, knowing and being and experiencing it. And I think we're always experiencing it on some level. So, why don't we experience it fully all the time? Why are we not experiencing the divine love that we are in ourselves and then experiencing it with each other? Why aren't we not? Why are we not? If that's who we are in our divinity, why are we seeing and experiencing something else in our humanness quite often? And I think it's because we have identified ourselves with something else. We have come to believe that we are our religious beliefs. We have come to believe that we are our political opinions and stances. We have come to believe that we are this ideological rhetoric that we engage in. We believe that we are that. And somehow that separates us from the truth of who we are. She says in her book as well that that what she says is that the problem that we're facing is largely spiritual. And she defines spirituality as recognizing and celebrating that we are inextricably connected to each other by a power greater than all of us, and that our connection to that power and to one another is grounded in love and compassion. And then she goes on to say she kept reading the words inextricably connected, and she thinks the problem is that we have broken that connection, that which connects us. Well, I don't necessarily agree with that. I know what she's trying to say, I think. We can't break the connection because we're always connected. We can't be separated from that power that is greater than all of us. We cannot, in truth, ever be separated from that. But we can believe we are. We can believe that we are separate from that power when we begin to believe the things that we've been taught, when we believe our own thoughts, when we believe our own thinking, when we believe our own beliefs. We separate ourselves from that sometimes and in each other. And what happens when we feel separated is that we experience fear. Oh my gosh, I'm alone out here. I'm separate from God. I'm separate from you. I'm separate from everything else, and I feel afraid. We get into fear. We move ourselves from love into fear. And what happens when we get to feel fear? We begin to think we have to protect ourselves. We think we have to create our own bunkers. We surround ourselves with people who believe exactly like we believe, who have the same political ideas that we have. We somehow isolate ourselves. And then when we begin to protect ourselves and we feel the fear, then we get strong enough, and then what do? We begin to attack other people who are not like us, who have different political ideas or religious beliefs. I know nobody in this room has ever done anything like that. We are all pure and perfect and holy. But how do we do that? We attack by our words. We attack with our thoughts. And sometimes, yes, we attack with our actions. And we see it playing out all over the place. We only need to turn on the television and see it playing out. We have separated ourselves, and she talks about that at length in the book. How we divide ourselves from other people because we feel fear. We're in fear. And we have to protect ourselves somehow. And then we begin to attack each other. And I know it's easy sometimes. It's easy to say, oh, well, they're doing that out there. I see those other people doing that, but I don't do that. Well, I will confess that I do it. Sometimes when I'm watching the television, I can certainly get into some fear. I can get into some fear, and I can get into, I need to surround myself with people who believe what I believe so I can be supported in attacking those people that don't believe the way I believe. Or I will attack in my thinking. Most of the time it comes from my thinking, my judging other people. And sometimes it comes in my words. I speak the words that are critical and damning. So I will own that. I get into that place sometimes. Fear. And so I think it's sometimes easy for us to get into that place of fear. And what I want to say, what I want to say about that, and I hope you hear this as well, is that, again, it goes back to living the paradox. We are fully human, and we are completely divine. I'm not suggesting to anyone that you deny your humanness. I'm not suggesting that you don't feel the anger or the pain that you feel sometimes. It's important to feel that and to experience that and to recognize that. But what I want to encourage us is to be aware of the paradox. As I said before, we are divine love. We want to experience divine love being reflected back to us. We want to experience in our personal humanness the experience of love as respect, as valuing, as caring, as connection, as all the ways that might show up for us in the world around us. And not only that, we want to be that in the world because that is who we are. And when we're not experiencing it and when we're not being it, then we feel the pain of it, don't we? We feel the pain of it, and the pain can then stimulate our fear. So be aware of the paradox. I am love. I want to express love. That is my greatest desire of my spirit. And I want to experience love being evidenced back to me. I want to know that's who I am. And I want to know that I can experience that in my world. And if I experience that not happening, it hurts. And sometimes pain can cause me to get into that place of defensiveness as well. I talked about this in my blog a couple of weeks ago. Somebody asked about, well, how do you respond to someone who comes and says unity is not Christian? They have a different belief of us, and they think that unity is somehow a cult or not Christian or whatever their ideas might be about that. And what I expressed about that, and as an example of what I'm talking about, is we are love. We want to experience love. We want to know that the people that we love are caring for us and valuing us and respecting us and connecting with us and seeing us and knowing that we matter as an expression of love. And when that doesn't happen, it hurts. And so I don't know, like you, if you've ever been in that position where you want to defend. I want to defend my position. And that doesn't really facilitate the love. So again, be aware of that. As we talk about at NBC, give yourself empathy and compassion for that. And then at some point, we can extend that to others, right? What we know is that I want love, you want love. I want to feel love, I want to be loved, I want to express love. And guess what? I know that you are a divine being as well, and I know that that's what you long for as well. And so how can I stand in love, knowing that I am love, feeling my pain, feeling my disappointment, feeling my fear, connecting with that divine presence, being that divine presence within, and knowing in my humanness that it may be difficult for me to express that right now, and it may not be time for me to express that right now, but when I can really connect with my loving beingness, then I can respond and I can connect with you in your space of divinity, in your space of love, and then that true belonging begins to happen for all of us. Love is experienced, love is expressed through our humanness, through our interactions with each other. And she talks about that at length in the book. How we do that, how we take stands, how we take action. Not from that place of fear and separation and defensiveness and battling and words and actions and thoughts and all of that, because that will never facilitate the connection in love that we are truly, completely, solely longing for. It will never facilitate that. Fear only stimulates more fear. It is our opportunity to be in that place, feel it, yell if you want to, be in that place of yelling at the television, yelling at your mirror, whatever that is, feel it, experience it, and as soon as you can, come back to love. If fear has any value for us, it is as a measure, a trigger, an alert that says, you are in fear, come back to love. Come back to love. And I'm also not saying don't speak out. I'm not saying don't take a stand. I'm not saying don't call your senator. I'm not saying any of that. Because I believe that that's part of our humanness as well. To do what we are called to do, but do it from a place of connection and love and spirit and being the presence in every moment. And I know that's challenging. It's challenging for me. And I know sometimes it's challenging, no matter where you stand on any of those positions. But love is the only power that is going to heal. Love is the only power that is going to connect us. The world is waiting. The world needs you to be the presence of love. It begins right here. Again, it's a paradox. You are love. You are divine. And you are also human. We all are. Can we live with that paradox? Live in that paradox consciously and choose consciously love over fear and begin to facilitate and create a world that is based in love, grounded in love, that love is the foundation rather than fear, which is what we're seeing play out in our world today. And it begins with you, and it begins with me. The world is waiting. We are the ones